All right, I'm all ready to send my project up to my live site, and I'm super excited about it. I think it works great. Let me just see. So this is my local page, and let's see, that's on my documents folder, that's in 130, that's in publishing my site, that's in my website example, so it's in a lot of folders, but that's matching up what's in my editor, so I know I have the right folder up. Let me just see the folder. There's the folder, my website example, and then these are the pages, so I am ready to go, and I'm going to upload these to FileZilla, to my live website. So the teacher said if I go into otcwebdev.net, this is something she set up for our class, and she said that I could click on this CIS 130 button, and I'm going to find my name. My name is Kirsten. And when I click on my name, she's got a folder set up that this is where my live stuff is going to go. So if I want my mom to see my super cool site, if I give her this address, OTC Web Dev Summer 20, and then my name with the initial, then she's going to get to see my web page, and I can show her all the cool stuff I've been working on over the summer. Super excited. Okay, she also said in her video that there's going to be this image that's showing up. She put that in there just to kind of have a placeholder for us. So it looks like I'm ready to go. And I'm going to log into my site like she showed us. So I'm going to pull up FileZilla. And I'm going to type in ftp. She said the host name was otcwebdev.net, which happens to be the same name as the website URL itself. And then that's all I have to put in. She said put in my username, which is my first name, Kirsten, and my first initial of my last name. Perfect. And then my password is my OTC ID without the initials. Okay, so the bunch of numbers. Okay. And then I'm going to click on Quick Connect, and stuff is going to roll, and then boom, looky there. Okay, so this stuff must be the construction JPEG and the index.html that she put in my directory. So that's kind of cool. So if I right click on this file and I choose view page source, I can see the actual source code that's on this particular web page. And that's pretty basic. My name goes here. She should have put her name up there. Anyway, construction.jpg. Okay, super. So there's an image, and okay, so these things are already here. That must be these two items here. Sweet. All right, I'm gonna close out that page. I'm going to erase them because I don't need them I'm going to upload my own cool stuff. So when I click on both of these, remember this is the remote site she told me, so this is where all the files are up on the live server, and on this side is my files in my computer. So I'm going to delete the files that she has up there. Hope she won't get mad at me. Okay, cool. I'm going to fill it with some cool stuff, so it'll be all right. So if I now hit refresh, I don't have any files in my folder up on the live server. So if I hit refresh, yep, I'm going to get an ugly page. So yeah, I don't want that. Okay, so let's upload my stuff so I can put my cool stuff up there. I'm super excited. Okay, so I'm going to my project folder I got to find it here in my local folder. So it was in my desktop, or in my documents folder, that's right. And then I had a folder called CIS 130, and then I have a folder called publishing my site, and there's that folder that has those files. Notice that this is changing down here. I see that this is what's currently inside what's highlighted. So I'm going to double click on my folder name because I just want my folders. I'm going to give myself a little bit more real estate here. So I just want my files that pertain to my website. I'm not going to upload the folder, just the files in the folder. So in other words, if I move this up here, that's not going to work. In fact, I'm just going to let it finish up. This finally says successful. And then when I refresh my page, well, I can see that folder. There it is in my live site. That's not what I wanted at all. So let's see. Okay. What can I do now? Well, I think the simplest way is I'm just going to right click on here and choose delete. Just get rid of them. This will just make my life simple for today. And then I can either double click on my website example or the folder here so I can get at the files that are inside that folder. And I'm just going to click and drag. Click. What did I do? I just did it real quick. I clicked on the top one, I hit my shift key, and then I clicked on the bottom one to highlight all of them. These are all the files from my web page. Super. So I'm just going to drag them over here to my live site. Okay, sweet. So now I should be able to either refresh this page, or just for memory, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is on my local folder. If I go back to Kirsten and click on that, how come my page didn't come up? Crap. Oh, let's see. Well, let's look at what we've got here. Oh, she kept nagging us all semester about naming something index.html. I bet that's why we have to do it now, is because About Me is the page I want to show up as my home page, but I did call it index.html. I called it About Me. So I think that's what she meant when she said that's always the default page. So let me see what that means. I can either do it here in this remote site. I can right click on here and choose rename. That would work. Or I can come in here and choose rename. This is renaming it in my local folder, so I can rename it here, or I can just go into my file explorer if I wanted to do it that way. Let's see, I'm trying to pull that over so I can see it. There it is. So here's my local folder. I can rename it here. If I rename it here, let's just see, I'm going to call it index. She said that's what we're supposed to be naming our main home pages, so that must be important. So let's see, that didn't refresh itself, so I'm going to try to, there, now it says index. If there's also a refresh button up here, which also would have done the same thing. So that gives me a clean listing of that name that I just renamed. I just renamed index, About Me. So now I'm going to drag index over. Okay, so I still have this About Me.html, so these two are copies of the same thing with just different names. Doesn't matter. If I really want to be OCD, I think I'm going to erase this one because I don't want to have extra stuff in there that I don't understand. So now I should have index. Perfect. Okay, so I don't have this About Me. I'm going to refresh my page. Almost. Well, at least I'm getting my index page. That's cool, but it's not showing my style sheet. What on earth happened? All right. Again, I'm going to right click on my view page source and just kind of see what's going on here. So if I click on view page source, this is the source that browser is actually reading in order to render my page. And let's see, it says that there's a style sheet and it says that there's a style.css page. But it worked on my, I have a style page up here, style.css. And it worked fine on my local, this is my local computer, that worked just fine. So what on earth is happening now? Oh, I know, I bet I know. I bet it's because Mrs. Markley kept nagging us about cases. She kept saying, make everything lowercase. And it seems to me that this live server is on a Linux machine, and Linux cares about caps, but Windows, that's funny. Windows doesn't care about style, about case sensitivity. And so it looks like I have a lowercase style.css, but I actually uploaded, this is a capital style. So are you telling me that the live server is going to care about that? Well, Mrs. Markley kept nagging us about naming everything, matching our cases. I bet this is what she was talking about. All right, so I think to make myself just another example here, I'm going to right click on my local file. I'm going to rename this one to lowercase style. Windex doesn't care, but I mean Windows doesn't care, but my live site cares. So I'm going to drag this up to my live site now. And notice that because it's a Linux machine and it does care about cases, to a Linux machine, little style and big styles are two different files. Where on a Windows machine, if I copied this down to a Windows machine, you can only have one or the other. It's going to try and overwrite that local file. So you can't have, oh, I think it just overwrote it. I don't even know what it did. There it goes. It just erased it. So in a Windows machine, you can have capital style, you can have lower style, and Windows will see that as the same file. If you're in a Mac or you're in a Linux machine, casing is important. That will be two different files. So let's see, my index page is looking at a lowercase style, so I'm going to keep the lowercase style. So I'm going to erase this one. and match the cases of my file names to what I actually put in my web page. Now let's see what happens. Okay, so that's my local one. All right, so now if I refresh this, yay, oh, almost. At least now it's showing my styles. So my styling page is showing up. That's super cool, but my image didn't show up. What's going on there? Well, I'll bet, let's just right click on where that image is supposed to be. And I'm going to choose, this time I'm going to choose view image. And in my URL, it's going to show me what, this is the live server. So on the live server is looking for a file called Kirsten PNG. So let me see if I have a file called Kirsten PNG in my remote server. Remember, this is on the remote computer, the live computer, not on my local computer. So on my live computer, I do, but I don't, right? Again, there's a casing problem. So my image isn't showing up because my HTML is looking for a lowercase PNG, but I have a capital PNG that I uploaded. Sometimes images come over if we save them from the web or from a photo editor, it'll come in with a capital. So, okay, fine. I think this time I'm just going to right click here and rename it here and make that a lowercase PNG. So I have to keep the period and then make it a lowercase PNG. And now let's see what happens. So if I refresh this page, yes, so I'm definitely getting that PNG file here. If I go back to my web page and refresh, yay, now I'm getting my image. So let's see if this is working. So this is my contact. And if I look down here on the status bar, it says that it's going to look for a file called contact.html. And as long as I have them in the same folder, in other words, there's no new folders in this particular, like remember before we had a website folder. So as long as all of these, everything exists in the same root folder, I don't have any extra folders. We'll look at how to do that later. I'm guessing, I guess because she's such a super cool teacher, she's going to show us how to make folders soon. In the next video coming up, but moving on. So let's just see. So if I hit contact HTML, there's my contact page, super cool. And there's her embedded Google style sheet, an embedded Google Maps. I'll bet there's a cool video in this week's modules on how to do that. She's so awesome. I know. Okay, so that's a sad plug for your teacher. Anyway, so now I can toggle back and forth. Uh-oh, what happened here? What on earth? Well, let's see. How come file not found? Well, let's see. If I look up here at the URL, it's looking for a page called aboutme.html. Oh, that's right. When we first, at the very beginning of this video, we renamed that file about me to index so that it would show up as that default page. But I didn't change it in my code. So I think I'll go back into my code and I'll have to change where I have about me, which doesn't exist anymore because we deleted it and we changed it to index. And I'm going to do that in my index page also. So I'm going to come into here and change index. All right, so on my local machine, I've changed it, but of course I haven't sent that change up to the live server. So just fixing it here on my editor in my local computer isn't going to fix it up here in the live computer. So I'm going to go back. And I need to upload those changes. So you can you can just delete these, I'm sure. If I wanted to, I could right click on those and choose delete. Okay. Or I'm pretty darn sure if I right click on both of these and just drag them up to the live server, I'm going to get a message that says, oh, hey dummy, I've noticed that you're overwriting, that there's another file that exists with that same name. And you can see that information here. And it says, are you sure you want to do that? And I'm saying, yeah, I definitely wanted to update my contact. So I'm going to overwrite the one that was already there. Okay. And it's asking me, how about the index one? Yeah, I wanted to overwrite that too. That wasn't a mistake. Go ahead and overwrite those files with the new ones. It says it's all successful. So now if I come back to my live site and I need to refresh that page, because if I look at my status bar, it's still showing about me, so let me refresh. Now when I hold my cursor over the status bar, it is now going to index. So if I click on index, yay, look at that. Oh my gosh, it was so frustrating at first, but now it's super cool.